उधर देखो. ठीक है. Go live ला. Hello students, welcome to another live session for class 10 CBSE. I am going to solve a paper today. This is a paper from 2025 and I am solving the first set, okay? And I want you to tell me any doubts you have based on each question that I'll be solving. Because I've considered the entire paper here, I'll be solving all questions or questions from all topics. So I'm assuming you have studied a lot of topics already. Hi, hello. I'll be going through questions of all topics and you can let me know if there is any specific topic you would like to study, okay? But for now, yes, I will go through all sort of questions you have and I hope you will understand how to proceed with each questions. As you already know, you will have a total of 20 MCQs, okay? Multiple choice questions, you will have 20 of them. So I have the questions in series here. I will consider each question at a time and you can let me know if you'll understand it well. So let's get started. You can verify these questions are from 2025. So the first question we have is from polynomials. I know one of you told me to go through polynomials and luckily the first question itself is from polynomials. So let's get started. The question has given to you, alpha and beta are the zeros of the polynomial. The polynomial has been given to you and they have mentioned that alpha and beta are the zeros. Now I hope you have already studied the topic and zeros are supposed to be those values upon plugging them into the equation, the whole equation becomes 0. So you have done factorization before. If you recall the concept of factorization, what we used to do? We used to split the middle term into two terms such that their sum is always equal to this, while the product is always equal to the last term. Sometimes when you have the value at the front, the leading coefficient if you have, then you have to multiply and their product is equal to the product of the two values you'll be taking. So from there comes the concept of sum and product of roots. So every quadratic, just a moment, let me open my chat. All right. Okay, let's continue with the topic for now and I'll get back to you, okay? Hi, hello. AK Gaming, yes, hello. I believe you are here to study for class 10, yeah? So I would like to go ahead and start with the first topic. So, Hindi, somebody has wrote that. my Hindi is not so good actually, or you know, मेरा हिंदी उतना भी अच्छा नहीं है और मैं उतना अच्छे से शायद ना समझा पाऊँ, तो इसकी वजह से आई लाइक टू कंटिन्यू इन इंग्लिश. ओके, सो मेरा ये थोड़ा सा दिक्कत हो सकता है, और नहीं तो आपको फिर मैथ से ज़्यादा मेरा एक्सेंट में ध्यान जाएगा, तो विच आई डोंट वांट. ओके, सो let's get started with the question. As I was saying, any question from polynomials. This year, you have studied polynomials before in class 9. So, in class 10, polynomials they are little different. Now, the thing is, if you have a polynomial like this given to you, then every time a polynomial is represented as what? The sum. The middle term always represents the sum, and the last term always represents the product. If you have a multiple at the front, then this is the standard way of a quadratic equation. I think you know that, ax square plus bx plus c. Okay, so now if I'll remove this a, to remove this a from the first term, I'll divide the entire equation by a, giving me x square alone, and then I get b by a here, and then c by a. So as I told you, like in splitting the middle term, what do you do is you always represent the middle term as the sum of the two values that you are getting as the factors of the last term. So this here represents the sum. And note that one thing, if you have a quadratic factors as x plus alpha and x plus beta, if you get these as the two factors, then what do you do to solve them, or to finally write the value of x here? Because you want to make the polynomial 0, so you will plug in the value of x as minus alpha and minus beta. Yeah? So that is the reason why it should make sense to you, one thing, that the sum value, whatever is given to you, this middle value always represents the sum, but in the opposite manner, or you just have to consider the negative of that. The logic is because if the roots are minus alpha and minus beta, then only we'll get a positive x term, or similarly if it is alpha and beta, then we'll get the middle term negative. Okay, so this is the concept. I hope your teacher has already told you that, and I believe that you have studied this already. So this is the concept where it comes from. And now, if this is the case, then what are you supposed to do? The middle term always represents the sum, as I said. So how should you approach a question like this? They have given to you alpha and beta are the zeros. For the given polynomial, you will find the sum of alpha, or sum of roots, alpha plus beta. As I said, alpha and beta are the roots, then the sum is represented by the negative coefficient of x divided by the coefficient of x squared. Okay, I can simplify this. It gives me minus 2. So alpha plus beta here is minus 2. Okay, now likewise, the product of roots is always represented by the middle term divided by the leading coefficient, or the coefficient of x squared. So clearly, because my k is unknown here, so I'll write in terms of k itself. I'll get k upon 3. So once I have the values of the two, now question has given me one more information, that alpha plus alpha beta is equal to minus 2 upon 3. So I will use this equation, and into this equation I'm going to plug in the value of alpha plus beta, which I got it as minus 2, and instead of alpha beta I'll write down k upon 3. So this is equal to minus 2/3. Okay, how will you solve it? You can bring this minus 2 to the other side like you do for any linear equation in one variable. This equation is now in terms of k, so you have to find k. It's actually simple, minus 2/3 plus 2. Okay, because minus 2 comes to the other side, it becomes the opposite. So from here I can simplify k upon 3 should be equal to, obviously, 2 minus 2/3. That is what we are doing. So if you can be quick with fractions, 2 minus, what should you do is 2 minus 1, which is 1. Okay, and why did I subtract 1 here is because that 1 I'm going to use to subtract 2/3, which gives me 1/3. So 1 1/3. Otherwise, I can write this as 3 times 1, 3 plus 1, 4. So 4 upon 3. I got the value of k third or k upon 3 as 4 upon 3. When you have the same denominators, you get rid of them, and that is how you get the answer k is equal to 4. I took time to explain you, but if you are doing it all by yourself, it should barely take you 10 seconds. Okay, this is the exact way you approach a question where the sum and the product is connected. This is the connection. Always remember, the middle term represents the negative sum of roots. Okay, always take the negative of what value you have been given, and then likewise for product you take it as it is. All right, now let's move to the next question. I hope this question made sense. If you want, I can definitely do an entire topic lesson on polynomials, okay? If the topic is not that clear to you, please let me know. Now move to the next question. If x equals to 1 and y equals to 2 is a solution of the pair of linear equations. So this is a question from linear equations in two variables, right? And now they have told you there are two equations given to you. If there are two equations given to you, then what will you do? First of all, because they have already given you the information, this is the information. Every question has some information, and you should treat them as a resource. Okay? And now the thing is, out here they have given you x is equal to 1, y equals to 2, which means I'm going to plug in the value of x as 1 and y as 2 to both of the equations. So let's do that. Into the first equation, if I'll plug in, I'll get 2 times 1 minus 3 times 2 plus a equals to 0. Okay? And now 2 minus 6 plus a is equal to 0. 2 minus 6 is minus 4. Sending it to the other side becomes plus 4. So a equals to 4. We got the value here. And now, likewise, I'll plug in the value of x as 1 and y as 2 into the next equation. So I'll do 2 times 1 plus 3 times 2 minus b should be equal to 0. 2 times 1 is 2 plus 6 minus b. Note that b is negative, so I can send that b to the other side to make it positive, right? So that clearly gives me b equals to 8. So now question is asking me what's the connection. Clearly a here is 4, b is 8. So b is double of a, right? b equals to 2a. That has to be the connection between the two equations and the missing variables a and b. So this is the answer here, 2a equals to b. This is how you'll approach a question like this. Easy, yeah? Moving on to the third question. The third question is about the midpoint. Now if I'll ask you one random question, what's the middle value of 3 and 5? You would just tell me 4, yeah? But what is the arithmetic way of getting that answer 4 is just finding the average, 3 and 5. If I'm asking the middle of 3 and 5, you add 3 and 5 together and you divide by 2 because you're taking the middle value for two numbers. So 5 plus 3 is 8 divided by 2 gives you the middle value 4. That is how you do. So the concept here is exactly the same. Finding the midpoint, you have to take the x coordinates, find their middle or find their average. Similarly, you take the y coordinates and add them up, divide by 2, the same concept, yeah? So I'll do that. I have the x coordinates minus 4 and plus 4. So minus 4 added to plus 4 clearly gives me 0. Divided by 2 is also 0. That becomes my x coordinate of the midpoint. Remember, you should always take the numbers respectively, as in the x coordinate has to be added to the x coordinate. Likewise, you will do the same thing for the y coordinates. Okay, 5 and 6 are the two x coordinates given to you, so divided by 2. If you look at the options, they're not asking for the value here. They are just telling you it lies on which of the line. So obviously 5 plus 6 is 11 by 2, 11 by 2 as in this is the y coordinate. But if the x coordinate is 0, then I think you know x coordinate is 0 as in it lies on which axis. It has to lie on one of the axes. So any point lying on the y-axis will always have the opposite, the x coordinate 0. Thereby, I can say that this point lies on y-axis or the midpoint lies on y-axis. So hence the answer is option B. Okay, I can, well, I will definitely go through the next set, but maybe you can just see if you can answer all of the questions with me. Yeah, I have these questions ready for now. That is the reason I will finish them first. I will do section B, C, D all one by one, then I'll move to the next set. Okay, so if you have done this before, not to worry. I want you to answer each questions all by yourself. If you know it, you can answer me before I do. You can do that, isn't it? So let's move to the next question, question 4. Now question 4 is from trigonometry. I'm sure you have started this topic. They have told you theta is an acute angle, and there is one information again, 7 plus 4 sine theta equals to 9. Now in class 10, you really don't have to worry about angles being something else apart from acute angles. You only study about acute angles right now. So that information is kind of, theta being an acute angle. For now, you just know acute angles, okay? You just know the ratios of certain acute angles only. So thereby, we will look at this equation alone and we'll solve it like our linear equation, because my theta is missing, whole sine theta is missing. So sine theta is what I'm trying to find for. So if you want to find sine theta, then you would want to remove everything to the other side. We will do that one by one. So clearly, what do you know? If sine theta is supposed to be found out, you clearly see it's multiplied by 4 added to 7. So how will you remove the terms? You will just remove it in the reverse manner, which means because you added 7 later, you want to remove that 7 first, and then 4 has multiplied sine theta first, so you'll remove that 4 later, okay? So first what you'll do is you will take this 4 sine theta, and then you want to remove that 7, so 7 needs to be subtracted from 9, yeah? 9 minus 7, the answer is 2, okay? Now sine theta equals to 2 upon 4. Now 2 upon 4 is a ratio I can simplify to 1 by 2. 2 times 2 is 4. Now sine theta is equal to half. So sine, as it represents the ratio of the perpendicular to the hypotenuse, that is what you must have studied, right? You must be calling it as perpendicular base and hypotenuse for a right triangle. So sine theta is equal to half means for what angle is the ratio of the perpendicular to the hypotenuse is half. It comes from the table. So theta obviously has to be exactly one value, and this happens, the perpendicular is 1 unit and the hypotenuse is 2 units only when the angle at the bottom here is exactly 30 degrees. So remember, sine theta is half for which angle? 30 degrees. So theta has to be 30 degrees. Okay, sine theta equals to half, or only when sine 30 is considered, then the ratio is half. All right, Rishabh, you're doing fine. You know the answer. You got it right. So 30 degrees definitely is the answer. Okay, the next question is again from trigonometry. The value of tan square theta minus 1 upon cos theta times sec theta. Now 1 upon cos is the reciprocal of cos. Yeah? What is the reciprocal of cos? What is the opposite of cos? It is sec theta. So I'll say that this is sec theta times it with sec theta. Gives me sec square theta. And now you're subtracting this from tan square theta. Now we have a very important identity. We have three identities that connect the trigonometric ratios. But if you look at this ratio, it's not the standard one. Why? The standard one tells me sec square theta minus tan square theta is equal to 1. This is the ratio relation, right? This is the relation actually, this is the actual relation we study, but now what I have, the expression I have is just the opposite of that. So when it is opposite, what do you get? You just get, instead of getting 1, you get the opposite of 1, which is negative 1. Yes, Rishabh, I do speak Hindi, but not formally for teaching. It's kind of difficult for me to explain the same things in Hindi, or for Hindi medium students, I don't know how to use that different terms, okay? So it might just go English, but I am very much comfortable with English actually for teaching. So that is the reason I like to continue in English. So this is it. This question must have been easy for you. This is the exact way you approach a question like this. Just like in board maths, you solve the bracket first and then you subtract with something outside, okay? Board maths rule is just universal. You have to apply it everywhere. And whenever you're solving an equation like here, you just do opposite of board maths. Like in case of board maths, or if you are using the order of operation, you would times first and then you would add. But here, if we are doing the reverse of that, for solving, we always do the reverse of that. So I'll subtract first, or I'll get rid of something that's being added first, and then I'll get rid of something that has been multiplied or divided. All right, Rishabh. Thank you for that. I think my English is just enough to help you understand math. That is what I'm trying. Okay? It's not like excellent, but I still manage to make you understand it. That is my, that is something I would work for. And yes, the thing is, I mostly teach ICSE, GCSE students worldwide. That is the reason why I have been able to keep up this much of English, I guess. Okay, so that has helped me a lot. And CBSE is the curriculum that I personally studied. I went through all these, topics by myself. And back then there was no such facility of taking, tuitions and no YouTube classes much. So I tried doing all by myself. So yes, I love CBSE curriculum though. And that is the main thing why I am, very confident with teaching CBSE. I've taught CBSE before, so this is it. Yes, Rishabh, I am planning to take class every day, okay? Obviously, my schedule is a little tight some of the days, so maybe some days I might not be able to do, but I'll try my best. For someone like you, if you're curious about my classes and if you will be, wanting to take particular lessons on a particular topic, please feel free to let me know. Okay, I'll be there to help you understand some particular topic that you want. Let's go to the next question and I'll get back to you after this question. Okay, so you have been given the HCF of two numbers and the LCM, but they are just given in terms of variables. So definitely you want to find what these variables are. So the HCF of 98 and 28 is M. Now I believe you have seen this number 28 appearing somewhere. Yeah? 28 comes in one of the easy tables. 98 might not be that familiar, but still 28 is familiar to you. You know 7 times 4 is 28. Now, because 7 times 4 is 28, you need to be a little clever here because you're finding the HCF and I'm sure the other number given to me is divisible by one of the numbers here. So I will go ahead and think about 7 again because I clearly know 4 does not divide 98. Why? Because 4 divides 100. Yeah? 4 quarters make 100. So therefore, I am very confident that 4 is not going to divide. So I know 7 will divide. So if you are wondering if 7 times how much is 98, you already know 7 times 4 is 28. It's ending with 8. So 7 times 14, that is what should come to your mind and you will try, and definitely 7 times 14 is 98. So what's the HCF? The common factor here, right? Now note that 4 is something I can factorize further because your concept of finding the HCF, it relies on finding the prime factors. So 4 can be prime factorized further to 2 times 2, while 14 can be represented as 7 times 2. So if I have to collect the common terms will be 7, one of the 7s and one of the 2s, right? So the HCF will clearly be 7 times 2. The common factors multiplied together gives me 14. All right. Now similarly, LCM is N. So this is the value of M, okay? And now the value of N is LCM. How do you find the LCM? So this is a question from first topic. In the first topic, you must have studied that HCF is always found out by taking the numbers with the lower power. Yeah, for 28 we got 7 and 2 squared, right? And for 98 we got 7 squared times 2. So HCF is you take the lower power for each of the values you have, each of the prime factors, while LCM is to take the higher power for each factor that appears in the prime factorization. So the higher power is 2 for 2, 2 squared, you'll times it with 7 squared. Okay, you'll take the higher powers for both prime factors. Had there been more prime numbers, then I would have multiplied that too. But because I just have 2 and 7 appearing, so I'll just multiply them. 2 square is 4 and 7 square is 49. Yeah? 4 times 49, how much is that? That will be the LCM. So 4 times 9 is 36, carry 3. 4 times 4 is 16, plus 3 is 19. 196 is the LCM. So they are asking me to find the value of N minus 7M, which is just plug in the value, get the answer. So N is definitely 196 minus 7 times the HCF is 14. So 7 times 14, we already know it's 98. Yeah. So I'll just plug in here. So the answer has to be how much? 98 removed from 96 is definitely, obviously that is a lesser number. So I will just get the answer 98. Yeah, because it is just 2 less than 100. Right? 96 is 2 less than 98. So removing that 2 from the 100, I just get 98. So the answer is 98. So well, yes, Rishabh, you're doing fine. I think you are a brilliant student already. I think you know some of the, or a lot of topics here. I'm glad that you're paying attention to each of the questions here, and I'm liking it honestly. Obviously, it is fun when somebody is solving with me together. You can use your notebook for certain questions if you need, okay? All right, moving on to the next question. Next question is from circles. Can you tell me, do you like circles? Just let me know, okay? Or if you have studied this topic already. I believe you have. Somebody is asking me if this is recorded. Is this recorded? That is a question. Yes, obviously is this recorded? No, it's not recorded. Oh my God. I'm currently live right now, and you can ask me any question if you have. All right, moving on to question 7. We have already finished the first 6 questions. Question 7 is from circles. I'm sure you have studied circles and the properties of circles, or the circle theorems, right? The question says, the tangents drawn at the extremities of the diameter of a circle are always dash. A diameter is definitely passing through the center, and the tangents drawn at the extremities, meaning at the extreme points where it meets the circumference of the circle. Obviously, diameter does meet the circle at 2 points, and those are the 2 extreme points. So if you think about drawing a tangent at these 2 points, then you clearly see they are parallel. Now what's the logic? What is the reason behind being parallel? It's because both the lines can be considered as 2 radius, right, coming from the center. And now we have this main theorem of class 10, which is always the relation between the radius and the tangent. They always meet at 90 degrees. So because they meet at 90 degrees, here it's 90 degrees, here it's 90 degrees. So 90 plus 90 is 180. 180 is always the angle made by the 2 parallel lines when they are cut by a common transversal. Remember, that is one topic you had in class 9. So it makes sense why they have to be parallel, right? Because their angles adds up to 180, and yes. Yes, Rishabh, yes, you can come and join my classes. You will be notified, I guess, for every live classes that we will do, okay? Especially for class 10, you can always attend, and we will try to go through all the papers possible, okay? I mean, I would want to do every paper, and you can join and you can solve with me. It's a great thing that you're sitting with a notebook and doing them. All right, parallel, I think that is, yes, somebody said the answer is A, I guess. So it is parallel, true. Moving on to the next question. In triangle ABC and DEF, did you like triangles? Please tell me if you like this topic, because I remember, you know, when I studied triangles for the first time in class 9, I hated it. Like congruency, I just hated it at all. I did not like those kind of questions based on proof. But now it really makes me like, you know, it's like much of a challenge, or I really love explaining how triangles are congruent or even similar. So this year you're all studying about similar triangles. Yeah, congruency you studied in class 9. In class 10 you're studying all about similar triangles. The concept of similarity, I just tell this to all my students, okay? Similarity is just like you and your picture, your photograph, yeah? Your photograph is a much reduced, size, or it's a highly reduced size as compared to what your real size is. And imagine, I always tell my students, do like this and make an angle with your hand. Whatever angle your hand is really making here, you will get the same angle on the picture. So the idea is Because of similarity, the angles never change. Two figures are similar when their all angles are equal. Yes, you are right, Rishabh. You are right. Yes, I think I will remember your name. Rishabh is a good name. It comes from music. It is supposed to be, because one of my students have already answered this question. The concept is very similar, or very simple actually. Similarity is when you have all the three angles equal for two figures. Okay, so if I have two triangles like this, obviously I think I'll better copy and show it to you. See, I make a reduced picture of this. No matter the size has been reduced, but yet the angles are maintained equal. Okay, all the angles at each corner, they are maintained equal, like you and your photograph. So they have told me first triangle is ABC and the second triangle is DEF. Now interestingly, what has been given to you? B is equal to E. So right, these two angles I have kept them equal. F is equal to C, correct? Now, by the angle sum property, if two angles are equal, then it is sufficient to say that my triangles are similar. The logic is because the third angle will also be equal, because the sum is not going to change no matter how big or small the triangle is. So it makes sense that two triangles have to be similar just by saying that two angles are equal. And one of the side has already been given to me that it is larger, AB is larger than DE by 3 times. So it has to be similar but not congruent. Congruent is like twins, right? Identical, they have to have all sides equal, all angles equal. Clearly one of the side is not equal, so answer is similar but not congruent. All right. The next person, Cosmos761, has asked me something. Okay, I'll come to that question. Give me some time. I'll come to that question. You have given me sec A plus tan A, sec B plus tan B, and sec C plus tan C equals to sec A minus tan A, sec B minus tan B, and sec C minus tan C. Find the value of each A minus 1, B plus 1. I quite not understand, I don't understand the last part of the question. You can please tell me, or you can just elaborate the question for me. I don't think I'm quite getting the last part, okay? And are you telling me that this question is from the same syllabus? Please let me know that too. All right. For now, I want to move on to the next question, question 9. This is really interesting. I think you all know already that 1 is a powerful number. It's such an easy number, yeah? No matter what power you raise to this number 1, your answer is always 1. But things will change if I bring minus 1 here. Why? Minus 1 raised to power of n gives me two answers. Either it will give me positive 1 or it will give me a negative 1. So there are scenarios in when you'll get positive 1. I think you know that already because you're a class 10 student. You get positive answer for negative values, the powers raised upon negative values, if that is even. If n is even, then for even powers, the answer is always positive, like minus 2 raised to the power of 2 is 4, not negative 4, yeah? So similarly, you get negative when it is odd. Okay, I'll come back to each of your questions and I'll come back to chat after every question, okay? I'll do that. So I have two scenarios here, 1 and minus 1, okay? So minus 1 is possible when n is odd, and when n is even, then it is always positive 1. Clearly, they want me to get the sum here 0. I can get the sum as 0 only when I have equal and opposite values. So if this is already raised to a positive, if it is raised to an even power, it's going to give me positive 1. Then this has to be negative 1, right? So that is the reason why I have to make sure that this n here is an odd number or the odd value, because only upon raising it to the odd power, that negative number continues to give me a negative answer. So minus 1 raised to any odd number will give me negative 1, and because the other term is already positive 1, only when you take equal and opposite, the sum is 0. Okay, I look so small in the corner. Well, I want to display more of my workings. I need more space for that. That is the reason why I've tried to reduce my size one side. Okay, so I want you to. It's fine. Your English is fine. I can understand. Okay, there is nothing to worry about English. Okay, in mathematics, at least nobody is going to judge your English. Be confident about that. All right, moving on. I'm moving to the next question, question 10. Cosmos has told me that this question is from trigonometry. Yes, of course, I know this is from trigonometry. You have a doubt in this question, but I do not understand the last part of the question. Can you edit that part? Maybe? All right. Find the value of each. A minus 1, and it's a little unclear to me because are they options, is it an equation that they have found, or I am quite not clear with the question, Cosmos. Please tell your real name, by the way. Question 10. I'll do this question and I'll come back to you again. So this question talks about polynomials and the zeros of polynomials. If you have to describe them graphically, then graphically what are zeros of polynomial? They are just the x-intercepts. Okay, x-intercepts are just the point that the graph crosses the x-axis. Yeah, so you clearly see both the graphs are crossing the x-axis at 2 points. So question says the number of distinct zeros as in different values. Obviously the two x-intercepts are different from each other. Okay, there are scenarios where you could have two equal zeros, and when do you have that? When your graph is exactly touching the x-axis like this, then there is no distinct zeros. There is only one repeated zero. All right, so this question talks about counting the number of zeros, so all you look at is the number of x-intercepts, clearly 2. So answer has to be 2. Right, Rishabh, you're doing absolutely amazing. I think you know that. Yes, Cosmos, I don't understand the last part of the question. Find the value of each. That part, I don't quite get it. Please help me with that. Moving on. Question 11. This is really interesting. If you can get this question right, then I'm very confident that you have understood this topic, okay? If the sum of first m terms of an AP is 2m squared plus 3m, then find the second term. Now, the sum is represented in terms of formula like this, or an expression, not a formula, it's an expression for sum of m terms. So, sum of m terms is equal to 2m squared plus 3m. Now, what does this m represent? It represents the position, right? Sum of first one term is found out by plugging in m as 1. Sum of two terms is found out by plugging in m as 2, and so on. So clearly, because I have nothing else, no first term, no common difference, nothing. So all I need to do is I'll do that As I said, I'll plug in this m values different. So if I'll use the m value as 1, you are finding the sum of the first one term. Now summing up one term is just keeping that one term as it is, right? How do you sum up one term? It is just the value as it is. So sum of first term is always equivalent to the first term itself. I hope that makes sense, because there is no point in adding one term. You're adding with nothing. So the term remains as it is. So by plugging in m as 1, what we are doing is we are finding the first term. If I'll find the first term, then I'll just do 2 times square of 1, which is just 1 times 2 plus 3 times 1. So which is nothing, 2 plus 1, 3, sorry, 2 times 1 plus 3 is 5, so 2 plus 3, 5. I got that my first term is 5. Now if I plug in, using the same expression, if I plug in 2, then what I'll get is the sum of 2 terms. Let's find it out. 2 times the square of 2 plus 3 times 2. That is how I'll find the sum of 2 terms. Now 2 square is 4 times 2 is 8 plus 6 is 14. Now this represents what? It represents the sum of 2 terms, not the second term. This is the part where my students get confused and they just write 14 as the answer. But clearly you don't have that in the option. So there must be something that your answer should be different, yeah? So the first term, because you have already found out the first term is 5, and this 14 represents the sum of 2 terms, which means a1 plus a2 is 14. The first term plus second term is 14. So to find the second term, what would you do? Is just subtract the first term from 14. So a2 has to be 14 minus the first term, which is 5. 14 minus 5, the answer is 9. And hence that is something you have in your option. Go for it. Rishabh, I'm just planning to do the first 20 questions today, the multiple choice questions. Let's finish them. Tomorrow I'm planning to do the section B part and so on, okay? Okay, somebody else has also joined us. PK 149 sketches 9. Yes, you're right. Cosmos has told me you have qualified RMO. What is RMO? My bad, I don't know. Is it something Math Olympiad? I mean, I'm just guessing, I don't know. Please tell me. I'll get back to you after I solve the next question now, okay? It's or else kind of distracting for me to get between questions, okay? I hope that you'll understand. And question 12. This is from mean, median, mode, statistics. I love this topic because it's easy. And there is one formula, the empirical relationship between the 3 measures of central tendency, we call them. Mean, median and mode, they are called the measure of central tendency. And there is one relation. How would you remember this relation? Is 1 mode, okay, I'm going 1, 2, 3. So 1 mode added to 2 times mean, 1 mode 2 mean gives me 3 median. Very easy to remember, yeah? This is one thing which is going to help us find this question. They have told me that the mode here is 15x and the mean is 18x. Find the median. So I'll use this relation, 1 mode. So 1 times the mode value, which is 15x, times 1 is just as it is. 2 times the mean value. Mean is 18. Double of 18 is 36. So 36x has to be equal to 3 times median. I want to find median, right? And median is being multiplied by 3. I have to get rid of this 3. Everything is a multiple of 3 here. So let's divide both sides by 3. Let's divide individual terms by 3 to find the median directly. So I'll just divide this by 3, divide this by 3. I get 5x. 15 divided by 3 is 5. 36 divided by 3 is 12. So the answer has to be 12 plus 5, which is equal to 17x. Okay. Well, the answer is 17x. I was guessing it. I told Maths Olympiad, and yes, it's original Maths Olympiad. Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. I could not guess for R. Maybe I could have guessed it. Yeah. That's so amazing. Cosmos, what's your real name, by the way? This formula is not there in the NCERT book. I think it is there in the NCERT book because it is one of the important formula you study. It is there, or maybe you might just study very soon. This formula is there in your book, and you will have to go through this, or this is a part of your syllabus. Remember, it's quite easy to remember as well, no? One mode added to 2 mean gives me 3 median. It's like 1 plus 2 is 3. Okay? Okay, Manush. I think that is what I would call you. That's so amazing. The formula is there, but is it deleted from the current syllabus? I remember when I checked the syllabus recently, I could see that you had other things removed, but anyways, I want you to remember this question because the question appeared in 2025 and you are following the same syllabus this year. So I believe you have to remember this. I can still check it out for you. Okay. Okay, is it deleted? But if it is deleted, then why would they ask you in 2025? Are they asking you to approach it differently? I do not think so. Yeah, I don't think it's deleted, okay? Moving on to question 13. We have a couple of more questions and we'll be done, okay? Question 13 is about playing cards. I don't know if you have ever played cards. I mean, it's not something that you should do. A deck of cards, I mean, I'm sure you have seen it somewhere though, yeah? There is always a total of 52 cards. Now 52 is a multiple of 4. 4 times 13 is 52. So you have each card, like you have 4 cards for each value, okay? We don't have 1. Instead of 1, we have A's, right? And then you have the last 3 after 10. You have the last 3 cards, the Jack, Queen and King. These are the face cards. I think you know that. So, question is asking you to find the probability of being a red face card. Now, I want you to remember this. In a total of 52 cards, you'll split that into 2 main you would classify them into 2 main branches. That would be your red cards. Half of them will be red and half of them would be black, okay? Now, there would be exactly 26 red cards and 26 black cards, okay? So, because I told you there is a total of 4 cards for each value or each figure. So, clearly, if it is split into 26 like this, based on colors, then being a red face card. So, how many face cards I said? The face cards are the Jack, King and Queen. I think I wrote it otherwise. It's Queen and then King, of course. Being a red face card is just taking the double of each because we have a total of 4, but we are considering only red ones. So we have 13 times 2. So each figure will have 2 red cards and 2 black cards. I think you know that already, isn't it? So Jack, king and queen. Each of them will be 2, 2, 2. That's a total of 6 cards out of 52 cards, which will be red face cards. Okay, so 6 out of 52 will be the probability, because you are picking up either of these 6 cards out of 52. Both can be simplified by 2. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 26 is 52. So 3 upon 26, that is the probability of drawing a red face card. No problem. PK sketches. You can tell me your names, okay? Because it's difficult to read that name, of course. No problem. You can remember the formula from now on. It's pretty easy to remember. I remembered it that way. 1, 2, 3. 1 is mode, then mean, and then median. Okay? 1 mode plus 2 mean equals to 3 median. Interesting, yeah? And Rishabh, I think none of your answers have gone wrong so far. Congratulations. Hi, Alan. You were there yesterday in the number system class, I guess. All right, moving on to the next question, question 14. Which of the following is a rational number between root 3 and root 5? How would you do this? Square root 3. Think about this number. Square root 3 is very close to, I think you know the values, you may not know the values. So how exactly can you approach question like this? Is because the question first of all tells you it's a rational number. Okay, I will answer a few of your questions before we do this. So PK149 is telling me, or is asking me, that if probability question comes for 3 marks. Now you're a school student, you must show your working, okay? Because sometimes accidentally if your answer is wrong, then it will cost you a lot if you don't have your steps. So it's very wise to write down things in steps and elaborate for 3 marks. You want to show your working, okay? Probability questions, what kind of working will you show is just write down face cards equal to this, and total number of face cards, total number of cards, and so on, right? So you should do that. You should write in steps so that you at least get your step marks if accidentally your last final answer is wrong. Sometimes we end up doing some silly mistakes, isn't it? So it's very wise to write down the steps. Okay, Rishabh has already given me his answer, and Cosmos is asking me, why do not I teach in physics wala? That's, well, I'm maths wali. That is the reason, maybe. So, obviously, I love teaching by myself, okay? It's kind of fun. It's kind of, I've not worked anywhere else. I have just worked like as a tutor. I have been working out, and I love it. I love this freedom, and it's fun for me. So that is the reason why I do not like, or I've not thought of joining someone else's company or something like that. I've never thought of that, because it's, math is kind of sufficient for me to be at home and teach worldwide. I teach students from all over the world, like from different countries, and that is something I love to do. And if I would join someone's company, I don't think I'll have the liberty to choose all things by myself. So that is the reason why I like to teach from the comfort of my home, like this. and so that I can meet students like you personally and you can come to my classes, join. And yes, I hope you all have subscribed to my channel, because I will be definitely doing the whole portion of class 10. Okay, I want to go ahead and finish class 10 as fast as we can. We will be in touch for the entire syllabus. Not only that, I would want you to ask me any of your doubts, anything that you have faced in your syllabus. Like even after class 10, I'm excited to do class 11 and 12 as well. So we are just starting now, and sometimes I'm very excited. I want to do class 11 as well. I want to do class 12 syllabus as well. It just kind of excites me. But I think starting from class 10 has been very helpful to me, and I think it is helpful to a lot of you. So that is the reason why I'm doing this. Okay, I don't know Ritik sir, I don't know who he is. Yes, Alan, I had to start a little late today because of my tight schedule. I have my schedule is not the same every day. That is one of the reasons why I happen to join at this time. Yes, Cosmos, I want to connect with a lot of students at the same time. That is the reason why. Oh, you're telling me with physics wala, I can connect with a mass number of students. I think I can connect from here. From now here itself, I'm connecting with you and a lot of other friends of yours. So definitely, I think I will be connected to a lot of students with time. I don't want everyone to connect today itself. We have a lot of time. So yeah, I really think this is this is just a start for me. So my motive is just to make you understand math better. That is the main thing I'm working for. Okay, Alan, I would definitely do that. I will come, I would definitely do the arithmetic aptitude for competitive exams. I will do that, okay? But for now, let's get back and finish. We have 7 more questions to do, so let's finish them, okay? And I might just do this question in the meantime. And somebody has already answered me. How would you approach a question? First of all, the question is asking for a rational number. So reject the irrational numbers from the option, definitely. The first number clearly has no repeating decimals here, right? The decimals are going in random manner. So this is an example of irrational number. So clearly this is not our answer. Pi is also an irrational value. I tell my students that pi is like, imagine a straight line, and then you want to bend it. Then if you're bending it into a curve, then that is where pi enters. And that pi value is definitely irrational. It's not something that is fixed. All right. And now we have 2 options, 2.326 and 1.85. Now square root 3, think about square root 3, and the square of this is 3 and the square of root 5 is 5. So you want to think about a number that has a square between 3 and 5. So out of the 2 options, clearly, if you look at 1.8, then the square of 1.8 is definitely 3.24. But if you go ahead and find the square of 23, like, generally for 23, then definitely it's more than 5, okay? It's 529, if I'm not wrong, it is. So I clearly see that the square of this number definitely fits between the square of 3 and 5. That is the reason I'll go ahead and mark this answer. All right? Very simple. You can just compare in terms of the square values without having to know the actual values for root 3 and root 5. Moving on, question 15 is from sector. What is a sector? Sector is like a pizza slice. I tell this to my students. It's like the pizza slice, isn't it? So it comes from the center like this, and then there is the circular arc. Okay, that is a sector. Question has given you the area. Now understand the concept is very simple. A sector is just a part of a circle, and what we are really saying is that the area of the sector is simply a fraction. Now this fraction entirely depends on what angle is it making at the center. So thereby, if you know the area of a total circle is pi r square, then the area of the sector will simply be decided by the angle made at the center. So what fraction of the area is considered here? That is just decided by the angle made at the center upon 360. So whatever angle makes the fraction, whatever part of the angle out of 360, what fraction the angle makes with the total of 360 degrees, that fraction comprises, or that is the area of the sector comprised. Okay, so hence this is the formula for area of the sector. Very simple, right? Question has given to you this is equal to 40 pi. This is very simple because when you have pi and pi both sides, just get rid of it. I like cancelling out things from both sides, you know, it's like getting rid of some burden. Okay, you don't have to evaluate the numbers and just get off the load. So you got the answer here, and now because they have told me the central angle has been given to me, you are supposed to find the radius. So interestingly, I'll go ahead and swap this theta as the angle given to me, 72. Now 36 is just half of 72. So 36 times 2 is 72. All right, 36 times 2 is 72, then 36 times 10 is 360. Yeah, and then 2 times 5 is 10. So what happens now? I have r squared this side and 5 at the bottom. When you have something at the bottom, it goes to the other side to become the numerator. That is what you should do as the concept of cross multiplication. You have fraction one side. To get rid of fraction, always take the denominator to the other side. So 5 goes to the other side, gives you 5 times 40, which is 200. Now this 200 is equivalent to the square of r. Now 200 is not a square number. So if I have to find the value of r, then the square is sent to the other side to make it as a square root, or we can say we are taking the square root both sides. Now how to solve this quickly? I love to solve it in a way that I think of a multiple of 200 that is a perfect number or perfect square number. 100 times 2 is 200, right? So if 100 times 2 is 200, then 100 is a square number. So if 100 is a square number, it's a square of 10. So I'll just write down 10 because it's inside the root, correct? So a square number comes out of the root as the square root value. So square root of 100 is 10, and that 2 continues to be in the root, giving you the radius as 10 root 2. The answer is D, 10 root 2. Perfect. A lot of you gave me this answer. Amazing. Math teachers have generally bad English. My English is also not that good. It is just that I have managed to make people understand maths in English. I have been very grateful for that, honestly, because I meet a lot of students from all over the world, and that may be one of the reasons why I am able to speak this much. Or else, yes, I mean, obviously math teachers, they care about numbers, not letters, okay? So, not letters and words. For math teachers, numbers have more significance than just words. So, you should never judge based on English. So, yeah, English teacher likewise do not have good maths. You know that, isn't it? So, it's balanced. It is kind of balanced like that. All right. Moving on to question 16. Again, this question is from circle theorems. You clearly see there is a tangent, there is the radius. If not the radius, the diameter still has the same property. Radius and tangent always meet at 90 degrees. So go ahead and consider this a right angle triangle with right angle at A. And one of the angles have been given to you. So the angle given to you can help you find the supplementary angle or the linear pair out here. So this angle can be found out quickly by subtracting the given angle from 115, right? So 115 is given to you. Removing 100 gives me 80. Remove 10 gives me 70, and removing last 5 gives me 65. When I know that the triangle is right triangle, then I just have to add the two acute angles to make a total of 90. This is already 65. It has to be the remaining. 65 plus 20 is 85. Another 5 has to be added, hence 25 degrees. Interesting, isn't it? It's easy. Let me tell you, it's kind of possible for all of you to score 100% in math. Okay, so it is kind of possible now because the syllabus is much reduced and they are more like asking the application based questions. Okay. Okay, Alan, you are from Meghalaya and you want to visit Sikkim. Definitely, I also want to visit Meghalaya. I do want to visit soon. So, definitely you are welcome to Sikkim and you can definitely come for a tour. Moving on. The next question is from trigonometry. Again, now this is precisely from applications of trigonometry, okay? So, how do you approach a question like this? Very simple. You are playing with a kite. Obviously, if you are playing with a kite, you don't roll your kite like vertically upward. It has to go in the inclined manner, right? It has to go, the string will be attached in this manner and your kite will be somewhere here, right? And you will be here. Question has told you a kite is flying at the height of 150. So you can always imagine that whenever a kite is there on the sky, then obviously the vertical height, you can always imagine the right triangle formed in that case. The vertical height is definitely 150 meters given to you, and the string inclined at an angle of 30 degrees. So this is 30 degrees given to you. Okay, this has to be the total length, or this is the height of the kite from the ground. The length of the string, wow, length of the string as in hypotenuse is missing. So definitely I tell a lot of my students that it is only because of trigonometry it has been possible that you can connect the side with an angle. Okay, so we have to use trigonometry, definitely. How will you do that? The opposite or the perpendicular, your teacher might call it. We also call it opposite and adjacent. Okay, in many curriculum, I have to teach it likewise. So in CBSE, we study as perpendicular, base and hypotenuse, right? So the perpendicular is given to you as 150, hypotenuse. Which ratio connects perpendicular to hypotenuse? Sine. So perpendicular upon hypotenuse has to be equal to sine theta. Here theta is 30 degrees. So perpendicular is given to me as 150 meters, yeah. Height, not height, this is hypotenuse. So hypotenuse is missing. Sine 30 is how much? I showed you in one of the questions before, it's half. Cross multiply to get the value. Height is equal to 300 meters. Or not height, hypotenuse, sorry. It's kind of confusing, but yes, here h represents the hypotenuse and that is what we were finding. The string, the length of the string, so logically it does not make sense. You're playing with a kite and you don't just go vertical, right? The strings will be attached or it will be inclined. That is the reason it takes the hypotenuse role. That is the reason I'm saying that we have to find the hypotenuse, and hence the answer is B, 300 meters. You're doing amazing, Rishabh. You got this answer correct again. Question 18. A piece of wire 20 meter long is bent into the form of an arc of a circle. Now what is an arc? It is just a part of the circumference, okay? Arc is just a part of the circumference, so what we are really considering is the circumference, but in fraction, or just a part of the circumference. Question is asking you, the radius has been given to you as an irrational value, 60 upon pi. The angle subtended by the arc at the center is missing, so you have to find the angle subtended here at the center. So as I told you, this is already a part of the circumference. The arc is the part of the circumference. So think about the formula for circumference. We study circumference as 2 pi r, or sometimes as pi times diameter as well, because this 2r is diameter. So you can call it as pi times diameter or 2 pi r. Anything works. So now the thing is, this is not the entire circumference, it's just the fraction. So what fraction of the circumference this is? The fraction is decided by the angle at the center again. So theta is missing, the angle is missing. So angle upon 360 times 2 pi r is equal to 20 centimeter, because they have told you that the wire is bent to form just the arc and not some other sides, not the radius or nothing, just the arc. Okay, so this is equal to 20 centimeter, and they have given me this radius as 60 pi. So let's swap r as 60 pi here, 60 upon pi, and we have a pi at the top, that 2 as it is, and theta is missing. So let's calculate things quickly. We can be quick with this. Pi and pi cancels out, 0 and 0 cancels out, 6 into 6 is 36. I have one more pair to cancel out, 2 times 3 is 6. Now I have 3 as at the bottom, so anything you have at the bottom, you take it to the other side to multiply. So it just becomes theta on the left, 20 times 3 is 60. So the angle has to be 60 degrees. The answer is option B. Correct. The answer is 60 degrees. Now the last two questions are based on assertion and reasoning, right? So this is a very common questions asked, and you have 2 questions like this for every paper. Okay? So I think you are quite familiar with the pattern. You will be given 2 statements, and you have to say if the statements they connect each other, where one of them is true, and you know, I have to just verify the statements. Let's get to the questions. Let's get these 2 questions done, because they are the last 2 questions we are doing. The first question tells me the probability of selecting a number at random from the numbers 1 to 20 is 1. Now, is that true? Probability is 1 only for a sure event or a 100% confirmed event. Like for example, if I'll say the sun will shine from the east tomorrow, you're sure about it. So the probability of that event occurring is definitely 1. 1 means 100%, right? 100% as in 100 out of 100. So definitely selecting 1 from 20 numbers, or selecting just the number 1 out of 20 numbers, the probability is 1? No, it has to be 1 upon 20. So clearly the first statement assertion is false. Okay, and now the reason given to you for any event, if the probability is 1, then E is called the sure event. Oh my god, this is a correct statement, but it has no connection with what the question was. So clearly when assertion is false and the reasoning is true, we have such options to mention, right? So I'll just say that assertion is false, but the reason is true. And obviously you really don't have to, worry about if they really have a connection or not. Okay, so they'll just give you one of the statements. If it connects to the other, there is no connection definitely, and because the thing is, the assertion itself is false. So it's kind of easy, isn't it? It's kind of easy when you have to compare the 2 statements. This is the last question for today, okay? And it talks about joining 2 hemispheres of same radius. So if you have a hemisphere, and the same hemisphere with the same base, along their bases, as in what? The base of a hemisphere is this circle, the flat surface, right? So now you have the same hemisphere like this, then we get a sphere. That's correct. That's true, isn't it? Connecting two hemispheres of equal dimensions will give me a sphere. Now, total surface area of sphere is 3 pi r square. That is a false statement because total surface area of a sphere is equal to the curved surface area, which is equal to 4 pi r square, not 3 pi r square. So, definitely this is a false statement, and hence we will say that assertion is true, reason is false, which is C. Okay, so answer for this would be C. So, we are done with the first 20 multiple choice questions from the set 2025 and from the first set actually, and these were the first 20 questions. In the next session, we will go through the second type questions, section B, section C and section D. Those will take more time, or because there will be lesser questions now, so we will be able to cover up, I'm hoping to cover up 2 sessions or maybe 2 sections. If not 2, we will see, depending on how many of you will join and how many of you will be there. A lot of things will decide, yeah? So, we will continue with this, and we will have a lot more coming up. You can tell me what topics will be bothering you. And yes, Rishabh, I hope whatever you did with me today has brought more confidence because you were doing it all right, yeah? And we will try to go through a lot more questions. So, all right, Rishabh, I'm sure you will join again. You will be notified, and I hope you have already subscribed. So then only you'll get notified. Okay? You want me to speak in Hindi? So हिंदी में तो मैं यही बोलूँगी कि तुम आप थोड़ा सब्सक्राइब कर दीजिए, आप अपने फ्रेंड्स को भी बोलिए कि आपको कोई मिला है इसे पढ़ाने के लिए, एंड मैं उन लोग का भी हेल्प करना चाहूँगी ऑफ कोर्स. ओके, एंड कोई भी हो, क्लास 10 का बच्चा कोई भी हो, मैं तो चाहूँगी कि सबका अच्छा हो मैथ्स में, बिकॉज पॉसिबल है मैथ्स में 100% लाना, और जब पॉसिबिलिटी होता है कि 100% आ सकता है तो कम आके सेटल क्यों होना उसमें, राइट? सो मैं तो चाहूँगी कि डेफिनेटली आप अपने फ्रेंड्स को बोलो, और यू जस्ट do everything. Tomorrow you can definitely join. Yes, I think you don't have to show your working for MCQ questions, PK 149, okay? Because for MCQs, they will never ask you your steps, or what really matters is the answer. So you can do some shortcut methods, or things can work for MCQs. You really don't have to show your working, okay? But for this thing, for your 2 marks and 3 marks, please go ahead and show your steps. You don't have to elaborate that much, but still you can always show your steps as much as you can. Okay, Sai Balar, thank you. I hope this class has made you understand things better. We have a lot coming up, especially for section B and section C. There are proof questions and a lot more, yeah? So we want to approach those questions in a way that you become confident after you're done with the class, and once you sit back and do the paper by yourself, you're scoring 100%. I want to hear that, definitely, okay? Your name resembles Tamil wala. What does that mean? Okay, you're saying that my name resembles from Tamil. Of course, I know that, and I have actually taught a lot of South Indian students as a private tutor. I, in fact, have a lot of South Indian students from different countries, actually. Okay, they are residing outside India, and they do take classes from me. So I know I am connected to South India somehow. And it was really a nice time, because as compared to a lot of my previous live sessions, I happen to get interacted with a lot of you, and I really enjoyed teaching from my side as well. It was fun. So I hope you'll come and join again, and I will make sure that your math becomes better, definitely. And you have more classes coming up, 11, 12. If you are trying to do maths, then we will have to stay in touch. Yes, thank you, PK149. I'm very polite because it's online classes, and okay, Abhimanyu, you have your exam tomorrow. I have covered up a lot of things for class 10 actually, okay? So if you'll go through a lot of my videos, a lot of shorts and my long videos as well, you will, I'm sure it can be a lot helpful. I have done a lot of circle questions, a lot of polynomials, and I'm sure it will be very, very helpful to you. That's great. That's great. Actually, I I love to teach math no matter what age you are, because I think it's all about. It's a great thing that even at like higher ages, people want to study maths and they want to recap what they have studied. It's amazing, and I'm sure I'll be helpful. So tomorrow, yes, I'm sure I will have to be live tomorrow, though I have a tight schedule, and I will try my best to go live, and definitely I will help you with anything that you want to know. Okay, I'll continue with the paper. That's one of the most important thing we'll do, and we will continue to interact. So how can I complete trigonometry? Abhimanyu, I think I have a lot of videos made on trigonometry as well. Please check my channel. Please go through the channel and just explore a lot of topics. I have discussed quite a lot of things. Okay, if you want to do complete trigonometry, mainly you focus on the ratio values, like what is sine 30, cos 30, that table. Okay, you want to remember the identities and how to use the identities and how to do the proof questions. To do the proof question, always follow the basic rules, like like the way you used to solve your algebraic problems. You have to do that only. Treat every topic like trigonometry is just like algebra only, okay? But now your functions, now your variables are not x and y, they are just sine theta, cos theta, and for that you already have the table to remember. So if you have the angles given to you something else, then definitely you will have to keep your answers as it is, because in CBSE we are not allowed to use a calculator. So yes, Rishabh, I will see you tomorrow, and you can definitely join. So we will continue with the paper, as I said. Trigonometry is tough, brother. No, trigonometry is not tough. It is just tough to everyone starting for the first time. I mean, just think about your junior classes. The first time you went to school, your counting numbers itself was tough. Yeah. So I can understand what you mean by that, but don't worry. You are very late to inform me about the trigonometry thing. Like, I mean, obviously there is less time for you, but from the coming next test, I'm sure I can be helpful. For now, you can go through trigonometry questions from my channel. There are a lot of questions already done. Okay, I've done some basics of trigonometry, the same things that you have in your syllabus, so it will be useful. Bye, Rishabh. Bye. I'll see you tomorrow. And yes, please subscribe to our channel, because we have a lot of less subscribers, and we are trying our best to upload like 5 to 6 videos a day. Like, we have so many shorts coming up, And even though I do shorts based on everything, not just class 10 topics, I do class 8, 9, 10, and then the competitive exams. I also explain the class 11 and 12 portions as well. But I want things in a friendly style. I like to make things easy for all ages. I do not think that it should be restricted to certain age and certain class. So if you learn, if you enjoy mathematics somehow, then I'm sure I can be really helpful with helping you understand things better. And anything that seems doubtful to you, you can please let me know. And yes, I think that is it for now. And I will definitely see you tomorrow. Bye.